explain to us what mainly causes stroke.
Okay, so a stroke is mainly a lifestyle disease. Well, now we have groups of diseases. There are diseases that are communicable and non-communicable. So mainly a stroke is mainly a lifestyle disease. There are things that we can do to prevent or to avoid getting a stroke. So a stroke is mainly caused when blood supply to the brain is interrupted or is cut off.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is what mainly causes a stroke. So this can happen by, for example, if there's something blocking an artery or something blocking the blood from getting to the brain, or if there's pressure on the blood vessel, that makes it burst. Okay, so these two are mainly the mechanisms that cause stroke. They both lead to insufficient blood supply to the brain, and this will cause the cells to die. So that is what mainly causes a stroke.
Okay, so the arteries we know are the blood vessels that are taking the blood from the heart, right?
Yes.
To
the brain.
The brain.
Yes.
And you're saying they either block or they burst.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how prevalent is this among Ghanaians, especially among the young people?
Okay, so the prevalence rates for strokes, it varies. It depends on a lot of things. So it varies. So in Ghana, most of the time for adults, it can be between 2 to 6%. But this is becoming more common in young people. So in young people, it can be between 0.5 to 1.5%, the prevalence rates for strokes. Yeah, so it's an issue that is of major concern.
What are the main symptoms?
Okay, so for a stroke, there are lots of symptoms, but to make things easier for those listening and for everyone else. So mainly for a stroke, there are some signs. There's a mnemonic. It's called FAST. So these will help you to know if someone is getting a stroke.
FAST?
Yes, FAST, FAST.
Mm-hmm.
So the F, yes, the F stands for facial deviation. So you would realize that if someone is getting a stroke, you see that, let's say they are smiling, but their face is asymmetrical. So half of their face is dropping.
Okay.
Yeah, as they are smiling, you can see there's an imbalance, there's asymmetry. So there can also be drooling.
Wow.
Or there can be some numbness on a part of the face. That's the first. That's what the F stands for.
Facial deviation.
Yes. Then
A.
The A stands for arms. So let's say, for example, you ask someone to stretch their arms. You realize that one will be drifting away or one will be dropping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the S?
So the S too can be
so facial deviation, and then with the arms as well, FAST. So please, you write in, pick your pen, pick a paper, and then let's get on with it. FAST. What's the S?
So the S is for speech difficulty.
Mm.
Yeah. So when someone is usually getting a stroke, you realize that they find it difficult to speak. They are trying to speak, but it's not coming out as it usually would. Sometimes they may not be able to speak at all, or they'll start to be slurring as they are talking. There'll be some slurring. Yeah. And the T is like the most important one, is for time. So as soon as you see these signs, you have to rush to the nearest emergency so that we start doing what we can do about it. The time is very important. How soon you report can either reduce the complications or like make it worse.
Are these symptoms, facial deviation, the arms, the speech, are they mutually exclusive, or can they all come at the same time? Or
oh no, they can happen. Someone can have just one.
Okay.
There may be someone who has a stroke. He's walking and doing everything, but you can only see that as he's smiling, there's asymmetry.
Wow.
Yeah, or maybe as he's eating, there's drooling. You can see he's drooling. Sometimes someone may just feel weakness in a part of their body, maybe in their arms, in their legs. Yeah. Or sometimes too, someone may start having the speech difficulty. So they don't all happen at once. It can happen in like singly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we're done with it, we have a good understanding of what stroke is, blood not getting to the brains because of blockage or bursting, and then the symptoms, the facial, the arms, the speech. Now that we're done with that, now let's come to our conversation for the day. What are the top lifestyle changes that can help prevent stroke? Because you said it's a lifestyle disease.
Yes. So there's some of the things that can help prevent stroke. So most of the time, it can be, you can have a good diet, a balanced diet, you exercise well, And then there are some other things that can cause a stroke that we can deal with: hypertension, diabetes, excessive alcohol intake, excessive smoking, lack of inactivity, high cholesterol levels. Controlling all these can help to prevent stroke. And these have lifestyle changes can help all of these points to help us reduce stroke.
It's just 9:15 thereabout. You're listening to Z101.9 FM, and we're having our Tuesdays, Health and Wellness Tuesdays, as you know it. We have in the studio Dr. Linda Crontin from the UGMC. We're talking lifestyle changes to prevent stroke right here on Health and Wellness Tuesdays on Z in the morning. So now let's tackle them one by one. You mentioned a number of them. How does regular exercise impact stroke risk? And what types of exercises are most beneficial?
Okay, so most of the time with exercise helps blood flow. It helps blood to flow more easily. So as you exercise more, blood flow is more continuous. And we know that one of the main things that cause a stroke, if there's a lack of blood supply to the brain. So it makes blood flow easily.
Okay.
And also it prevents clot formation. A clot can block an artery and can reduce the oxygen supply to the brain. So exercise can also help reduce clot formation. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What kind of exercises, when we say exercise, am I waking up at dawn and running, or am I walking briskly from my junction to the next junction, or am I playing football with my friends on Saturday, or am I playing table tennis, badminton? What kind of exercise, or is it just exercise?
Okay, so it is recommended that different exercises can help, but it is recommended that at least you try and exercise 30 minutes 5 times a week. So some of the exercises we can do, you can do aerobics.
Okay.
You can do brisk walking. So one of the aerobics is the brisk walking for 30 minutes, about 5 times a week. That's fine. That gives you a total of 150 minutes a week. So that's fine. You can also engage in other activities. You can do cycling. You can either use a stationary bike, or you can actually cycling for some distance. You can swim. Swimming also helps exercise the whole body. Swimming also helps. There's also weightlifting. Weightlifting in a way also helps to reduce stroke. Yeah, so these are some of the exercises that we can do to prevent stroke.
Not pumping to get muscles and win man Ghana, but just lifting.
Weightlifting. And like with exercise, it's a gradual process. So let's say even if you know you have to walk 30 minutes a day for like 5 times a week, so you have to start according to what you can take. So maybe you can start the first day, you can start by doing like 10 minutes a day. Like starting just 30 minutes straight up can cause other problems for you.
Okay.
So it's a gradual process. So you can
warm yourself into it.
Exactly. Then with time you realize that 30 minutes every day, like 5 times a week, is so easy for you. Yeah, so you can even decide to add more, but at least 30 minutes should be the least. Start gradually and you get there. You can do the other one, cycling, swimming, like all those things. They can help. And then there's also some forms of relaxation, like yoga, and there are also some forms of exercise, which can help you relax and then reduce your risk of stroke.
What about those who have such schedules that does not allow them to exercise during the weekday, so they put everything on a Saturday? Is that good, or the recommended is you must do it at least 30 minutes every day?
The recommended is at least 30 minutes every day.
Not pile everything and do 2 hours on a Saturday.
No, that's not really advisable. But I'm just thinking, no matter how busy you are, like if you really want to exercise, if you are really determined to do some form of exercise, you find a way. So maybe instead of the 30 minutes per day, if you can't do that, maybe you can do an hour for a number of days. Yeah, that can also help. But it all depends on gradually building your capacity. So you start small and then you'll be increasing the minutes like as the days go by, just so you are used to it and then you achieve your aim.
30 minutes, 5 times a week. That is recommended. Let's move on from exercise. Let's go to dietary changes. What dietary changes can help lower blood pressure and thereby reduce stroke, the risk of stroke?
Okay, so for diets, mainly, we all know about a balanced diet. It has to contain like foods from all the main groups. So we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, foods that are high in fiber, like for example, wheat, those fiber foods most of the time. Fruits and vegetables, we all know fruits and vegetables. We eat them more than the carbohydrates. And then also we have to reduce our salt and sugar intake, because high salt can cause hypertension. So reduce your salt intake. High sugar we know can cause diabetes. So salt and sugar. And then we also have to reduce our cholesterol intake. Cholesterol, we have good and bad cholesterol. Yes. So some of the good sources of cholesterol, olive oil, avocado. Yeah, some of these ones are good sources of cholesterol. We can do more of them instead of the processed ones we find in our pastries and some other food products that we eat.
Yesterday, late in the night, I was eating a big pie, and Madame was very angry.
Yeah.
But I was also very hungry, so I had to eat.
So something like this pie, like this, will have the unhealthy or the bad fats.
Doc, I've already eaten it too.
Don't worry, you exercise.
Anyway, so dietary changes. What about the way we eat? Because this one is a personal question. Say I come to you at UGMC. You see, I can't. I leave home quite early because I have to be at dawn to start the show.
Okay.
There's no way I can eat in the morning like that, and I'm here till 10. Does the way we eat also have an impact on these things? Not just what we are eating, but the way we eat. Mm-hmm. Where DJ Wade will not eat, then eat like 12, when eat some huge bowl of gobe or something, then you eat again till evening late. I don't know. I mean, does the way we eat also affect these things?
Oh yeah, it does. But this one, I think, let me say, it's a cultural thing, or should I say it's an African or a Ghanaian thing. So it's like most of the time people skip breakfast, they end up eating like heavy meals for lunch and eat heavy meals for dinner as well. It's not a good practice. It's not a good practice. You have to go out of your way and find time and at least have breakfast. We all know breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So have breakfast. And once you have breakfast, and the breakfast is a good one, it contains fruits, vegetables, you find out that it takes a longer time for you to even be hungry.
Yeah.
So you realize it's lunchtime and you're not even hungry, but you have to eat lunch. So the lunch, you can do some more vegetables. And then for dinner, you can just do something light. So as for the heavy eating, like it's bad. And the times that we eat, you shouldn't eat too late into the night. You have to eat about 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. I know a lot of people are guilty. They just eat them.
Yeah, DJ Wade. I know.
It's
he's
not
very
easy, but
guilty.
you have to make up your mind.
Yeah. Victor too as well. I see them because they live here at 2 and 10, so they'll go and eat fufu around 1 a.m. Go bare and do things like that. It's good that Doc is here giving us very good. Doc, let's move from food because they are getting angry in the studio. Let's touch on stress management. How does stress management, such as meditation, yoga, how do they also affect the prevention or otherwise of stroke? Stress.
Okay, so we all know stress can actually, chronic stress can actually even cause your blood pressure to be high. So with managing stress, it can make your pressure low and can reduce your risk of getting a stroke. When we are stressed, a lot of things happen in our body. There's the release of cortisol and adrenaline. These all like make the blood pressure high and can increase your risk of getting a stroke. Stress can cause inflammation, which will end up damaging the blood vessels. And you know the blood vessels, they are the link. Yeah, from like transporting blood from other parts of the body to the brain. So damaging the blood vessels will not help. It can cause it to burst, as I said earlier, or it can cause it to be a block. And it can all lead to causing a stroke. So stress management is important. And let's say sometimes when people are stressed, they end up picking up, or let me say, continuing certain bad habits like taking excessive alcohol intake and then smoking. So managing stress properly can help you. That you can use other things to divert your attention from excessive alcohol intake and then from smoking.
Like what?
Also, you can engage in things like exercise.
Okay.
So instead of like to manage your stress, you can exercise. You can do the aerobics as we've spoken of. Yeah, it can help reduce and then also yoga. Yoga can also help you relax and reduce your stress levels and then prevent a stroke.
This issue. Let's stay on stress for a while. Yoga. Is this common in this part of our world? What do people normally tell you when they come to the hospital that they used to de-stress? Or what would they normally say? Because yoga, I don't know anybody who does yoga.
Oh.
Yes, it's true.
Oh, but people do yoga a lot now.
Interesting.
Yes. People do yoga a lot. I don't want to mention, but there are so many sports. I wanted to even start yoga at a point.
Oh, wow.
There are so many like sports. I know right now from the top of my head, I know about 3 places, and I'm sure there are so many more.
Yeah.
I have friends who do it like every weekend. They just take time off and then just do something to relax. Yeah.
Maybe I don't have good friends because none of my friends does yoga. I don't know. Kweku Yankson doesn't do yoga. He doesn't. Is it yoga that you sit and cross legs and all that?
Well, there are different types. So most of the time, some of them involve the sitting and crossing legs, but some of them really are like stretching exercises. So you can see someone maybe they will sit and try and stretch their body in different ways. Someone's head can be down and then they are trying to stretch. So they are like vertical, like this.
Definitely something Mr. Kweku Yankson can do.
It takes time. Like it's from like baby steps. When you start, maybe you start with sitting down and doing just some minor stretching exercises. Then with time you graduate, then you can be doing other ones. So it's not only sitting down, like it involves stretching the body and then relaxing.
I need to get yoga expert in the studios one of these days so that we talk about
You
yoga.
should.
Yeah. We would be talking to them and finding out how this also affects. Okay, moving on from stress management, smoking. Why is this also part of the risk factors for stroke?
Okay, so for smoking, as we all know, okay, maybe let me not say that. Smoking somehow damages blood vessels.
Okay.
It has some, let me say, some elements in it that can end up damaging blood vessels. So that is the number one way by which smoking can put someone at risk of getting a stroke. And then also, when you smoke, you're at a higher risk of getting hypertension.
Okay.
And we all know hypertension is a risk factor. Yeah, so that is also part. And then as you stop smoking, your blood vessels are not under any form of pressure or injury. So then it makes circulation easy. Like your blood flows easily. And then there's no cause for any blockage or anything of the sort. Yeah. So mostly smoking, it damages the blood vessels. So mostly that is what
that's where the problem is.
Exactly. And then as it's a risk factor also for hypertension. So it can also cause other problems like lung diseases and other things. But mainly for stroke management, this is where like the link is.
Interesting. Minimize your smoking or stop smoking totally. That's what you're advising.
Yeah, so it will be hard to just tell someone to stop smoking. So they have to minimize it and take steps. Like it takes time to just stop.
Does what they are smoking also play a role?
Okay, but so most of the things that we smoke have most of the things we smoke have nicotine. Nicotine is one of the things that can cause all these problems here. So mostly things that we smoke that have nicotine in them.
It's mostly it's almost 9:30, and so I need reminding that this is Z in the morning. It's Health and Wellness Tuesdays, and as you know, that's how we do it. And we're having a conversation with Dr. Linda Cranton from the UGMC, the University of Ghana Medical Center. Today we're talking about lifestyle changes to prevent stroke. So let's move from smoking. How does excessive alcohol consumption increase stroke risk, and what are the recommended limits? Excessive alcohol consumption.
Okay, so excessive alcohol consumption can lead to hypertension. And as we know, hypertension is a risk factor for stroke.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. And then also the excessive alcohol consumption can also damage the blood vessel, just like the
smoking.
Yeah, it can damage your blood vessels. And then it's sort of, disrupts the way lipids are absorbed in the body.
Okay.
Yeah, and that can also increase your rate of getting a stroke. It will cause the bad cholesterol to be higher and rather reduces the good one. So that can increase your risk of getting a stroke.
Okay. Yeah.
And alcohol consumption can also lead to, we know hypertension and diabetes are like cousins. So it can let you get diabetes and then they will cause that. It can also cause obesity. You know, obesity is also a risk factor for a stroke.
So what are the recommended levels?
So the recommended levels, they vary. It depends on your age, depends on any medical condition that you have, it depends on sex, a lot of things. But for most of the time, it's about 5% like per day. So for a male, you can have 2 units, and then for a female, 1.
Of what?
So the 5% can be beer.
Star. Or any of those ones that they like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so you mean that you can take alcohol on a daily basis?
But you should have some days that you are off it. It shouldn't be continuous.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can eat with it.
So not like those people who are like, oh, if I don't drink alcohol, I can't eat.
Yeah.
That thing is not like, I know a lot of people who
I
say
do too.
and they do that. Like,
I do too.
they just put it in their minds that without alcohol, I can't eat. And there's nothing you can do to convince them, but there's no link with that. So rather, alcohol even makes you like full, like early.
Okay.
So like that is a no. So you can just take a bottle of beer or to the 5%. Yeah, for males 2, and then for females 1. But it shouldn't be every day. You should have at least 2 to 3 days off it.
Okay, wait, Dr. Cranston, let me find out. The percentage you're mentioning is the alcohol percentage.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then that takes out all the heavy, hard ones, the vodkas and the rest.
Yeah, but okay, so there's a limit up to about 12%.
Okay.
Yeah, up to about 12%.
I know some people who are doing 38% and things. They have to take 2. And so because of that, these people I know who are listening to me and they know I know them. We've talked about this before. Then when they take in these hard liquor, they would then say, I know go fit chop rice. I for eat something heavy.
Yeah.
So then they end up eating fufu or some banku or something because then it looks like, okay, if you've drank something, you must take it. You're saying that these things are also part of the challenges we're facing in managing stroke in this country.
Yeah. So let me go over it again.
Please do.
So for men, you can take up to 2 standard drinks a day, and for women, it's 1. But the standard drink is equivalent to these 3: 12 ounces of beer, which contains 5% of alcohol, or 5 ounces of wine, 5 of wine, which is 12%.
Okay.
And the 40% alcohol content, you can only do 1.5 ounces of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
A very good morning to our executive producer, Mr. Alex Mensah. Mr. Kweku Yankson in the studio says I should say a good morning to you. Okay, so Doc, these recommended alcohol levels that we're talking about, in your experience, do you find people sticking with them?
Oh yeah, now people are actually trying. Like most of the time I see patients, you ask them whether they drink. Most people are like, they do. Well, first time you ask them, do you drink? And they'll say no. And I'm like, you don't take any alcohol at all. Then they'll be like, oh, it's occasional, like once in a while. But whether you drink occasionally or you drink every day, you still drink. But then you just have to watch the limits. Yeah. But most people, at least from the people I talk to, most of them drink occasionally.
Okay.
It's just one in about 10 who will say maybe they are heavy drinkers, they drink every day. But most of the time, people occasionally, like they drink on occasions only.
Interesting. Now it comes to the one that I am most guilty of, but I'm trying. What is the impact of sleep deprivation on stroke risk, and how can listeners improve their sleep habits?
Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, lack of sleep, like if this goes on for a very long time, can cause your stress levels to sort of increase and can cause hypertension. And this can also lead to, as it's a risk factor, it can cause stroke. So most of the time, things we can do to improve our sleep. So for starters, you have to set a time. For example, every day at 9 o'clock, I know I'm going to go to bed. So prepare for sleep. Set a time that is okay for you. It can be 8, it can be 9, it can be 10. But we should also know that sleep, so the sleep reduces as we are aging. So most of the time people will come and say, I can't sleep. So yesterday I had a patient come in. She's like, she can't sleep. I asked her how many hours she sleeps. Then she says she sleeps from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'm like, that's
a lot of sleep.
Like people are dying for those hours of sleep. So most of the time you should know that the sleep reduces as you are aging.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes, apart from setting a time for you to be able, like a regular time, so that you know that if it's 10 o'clock, if it's 8 o'clock, if it's 9 o'clock, it means I have to go to bed. You can also do other things. Like for example, you don't have any distractions. The light should be off. It's not like you are coming to sleep and you are now on your phone chatting or doing something. These things will easily distract you. It will not like give you the environments to sleep. So no distractions, no lights, no TV. People say, well, let me watch a movie, and the movie will help me to sleep. But these things sometimes, surprisingly, will even make you awake. So you should avoid things like that.
Okay,
Things
our
like that.
phones.
Yeah. Things that will distract us: phones, lights, TV, and all of those. And then you set a time that you are supposed to sleep every day. And if sometimes you realize that maybe you sleep at, for example, for people who are, most of the time for people who are growing, or like the old people, they'll tell you they sleep around 8 p.m. and then they wake up around, let's say, 4 or something. So you can just push the sleep time back if it's a problem, or if you keep waking up during sleep, you can just sleep a bit later than your usual time.
Okay.
You try that and see if you can sleep longer in the mornings. Yeah, that also helps.
It's been said that you need 6 hours of continuous sleep.
Yes.
Averagely. That's the minimum you should even go for.
Yeah.
I have tried, though, Doc. I have tried. Like, okay, today I'm doing 6 hours. By 5 hours, I'm done. Or 3. Sometimes 3 hours, I'm done. 4 hours. I've never hit 6 before. So I keep one. Yeah, I know. I try. Like I try and close my eyes. I shut it, but still. For those who can't do this continuous 6 hours, you're saying that they can do other stuff that could help reduce their stress, right?
Yeah.
Like the exercises we spoke about and all that.
Relaxation techniques.
That for me is one of the key point I want us to touch on. When you say relaxation techniques, so what, I sit in my chair and I don't do anything, or what? If I'm working Monday to Friday and I'm busy behind my desk, what are some of the relaxation techniques you would recommend for busy business people who are listening to us this morning, Doc?
Okay, so the relaxation techniques, as I've already spoken about, you can do yoga.
Okay.
Yoga is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can also do therapy. I mean, there are places that you can go to. There are some kinds of therapy that you can do to help you relax. Apart from the yoga, there are some exercises too that can help you relax. Yeah. These are some of the things that, can help you relax. And sometimes too, there are some support groups, like things you can do as a form of distraction. So you can engage in some sporting activities, like things to make you relax, like you're having fun in a way, and then you are so relaxing. You can do like the groups I'm talking about. You can have a group where maybe you go and talk. You just talk about anything on your mind. It's not really common in Ghana, but it really helps in the other parts of the world. Like support groups, like you just go and talk just as a form of relaxation.
Interesting. Yeah. Did you follow the Black Stars yesterday night?
I was working, but yeah, I listened to a bit of it.
Okay, yeah, because if you're a Black Star supporter, you should always, you need a lot of relaxation techniques and all that before something happens to you. So someone has been listening to us and the person says, okay, they're having a good conversation. I'm interested in my health and the lifestyle changes. I'm ready to make those lifestyle changes. But how can a listener assess his or her own risk of stroke and then develop a personalized prevention? Where does it start from? It's 20 to the top of the hour. Let's come into the practical things now. I'm a listener. What do I have to do after hearing you today?
Okay, so we can start from looking at the risk factors.
Okay.
The risk factors. So most of the time, stroke increases with age. So as you are aging, you have to start putting things in order. It's also common in men. And with people with a family history of stroke, you have to be extra, you should pay attention to your health, because the family history of stroke is very important. It has also been said that African Americans are at a higher risk of getting a stroke. So with these factors, these modifiable risk factors, so we take the risk factors one by one. So we come to hypertension. We all know hypertension is the leading cause of stroke. So the least you can do, have regular checks. Now most people have their BP machines at home.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're able to check, and then some people come to the hospital and they've already checked their BPs and they've written it down like a whole book. And their brain comes and shows the doctor that, I checked my BP and on this day it was high. People have become more concerned about their health. So people are checking their blood pressure. That's the leading cause. So the first thing you can do is to make sure your blood pressure is in check. So that's the first thing. And then we go to diabetes. We know that one too increases the risk of stroke. So that one too, if you have a family history of diabetes, you have to be careful with your sugars. You have to be very careful with your sugars. You have to eat things that will not let your sugar go too high. Most of these carbohydrates are converted to sugars. And then, of course, the sugar itself. And then the cholesterol as well. High cholesterol intake. You have to be careful with your diet. Eat more of the good cholesterol, the avocados, use olive oil. Don't do too much of the processed fats in the pastries and all of that. And then smoking. You have to reduce or even like stop, reduce and then gradually stop, or even don't smoke at all. Then with obesity, we know that obesity has like, it links a lot of health conditions like hypertension, diabetes and all that. So we have to prevent obesity, of course, by exercise and physical activity. We can exercise to maintain a good weight. And then when we come to the diet, yes, as I've spoken earlier, the bad cholesterol ones, then the alcohol and all those other things. So what we can do is to like engage in more medical checkups.
Okay.
That's what we can do. So as I've already said, you check your blood pressure, you check your sugar, your cholesterol, you check your heart. And then if you have a history of it, let's say, for example, someone knows maybe they have hypertension or diabetes, you have to be doing regular checks. People come to the hospital, they know they have hypertension, they know they have diabetes, they've been told. Sometimes years now, they've been having it, but they'll come and tell you, I didn't take my medications. Someone comes to tell me for a week now, I've been taking my medications because I thought I was okay. Sometimes people think that once they've been diagnosed of hypertension, and let's say you give them the antihypertensives for a month, they think that taking it for a month, that is it. Like they are, in quotes, healed. They don't need to take the antihypertensives again. But we know most of these things is a lifelong commitment. You can't stop. Once you start taking the medications, you have to continue. But what you can do is to be checking the blood pressures regularly, so that if anything can be done about it, then it's done.
Wow.
Yeah. So the medical checkup is very, very important. And if you have a personal history, for example, someone who has a stroke before stands a chance of getting it again. So if you have a personal history, then you should be extra concerned about your health.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm believing this thing about people becoming a lot more conscious, because these days, almost every one of the chemical shops or pharmacy, shops that I see in my community, people are sitting there with